Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK.
And I'm Courtney.
And Courtney, how are you?
I'm tired. I have had the longest week of my life the past 4 days, and all I want to do is take a nap, but I can't, so it's fine. Um, I'm, just trying to get myself together. Last week, we had the Mondo Tech and Music Conference, which was fine, but then I was, at a conference for like 8 hours, and then we had shows after. For 8 hours I had to go do my scouting, and not that the rest of the team went, but it's fine. um just me. It's okay. But they were really great shows. They're really fun, but after 3 12-hour days in a row, well, yeah, 3 12-hour days in a row, Saturday was supposed to be my day of like coming back to be a person, and I don't feel like I got rested enough. And then yesterday was a busy day too. It was fun, busy. um so I'm just tired, but I'm fine. I've just been listening to a lot of music and
Totally,
moving
totally
along with
good.
life. How about you?
Yeah. Well, I last week we went on some wedding venue tours, and apparently people book their weddings like super far in advance, because of the five venues that we talked to, three of them were already booked for our wedding date.
Mhm.
Um, but it's okay because the two that weren't were the two I liked the most anyway.
Good. So everyone else
Um,
has terrible taste, is what it sounds like.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Well, okay, to be fair, one, we didn't tour because I've already been there and I really would have liked it, but it's much more expensive than the one I ended up
Mm.
going with, because we did end up going with one.
So
Have to,
exciting.
I have to officially sign the contract and put the deposit down, but when we have another family conversation that has to be had with his side of the family for logistical things, um, which is fine. Everyone's on board with everything so far, which is nice. But
That's nice.
yeah. So I know I got a place.
Ah, it's so exciting and it's so beautiful. I can't wait.
I know it's. Oh my
Ah,
gosh, there's a courtyard with a fountain and fireplaces that we'll be able to light, and it's gonna be wonderful. Of
s'mores.
course, yeah, we're not gonna be outside for much of the time because it's Buffalo and it's December, so you know, but but I will
Right.
get my beautiful snowy courtyard pictures, and that's all that matters.
Great. I will freeze to death and just be thrilled.
Well, we can't, between you having an inability to function in the cold and
No, I
Meg,
function in the cold. I love the cold.
you just said you were gonna freeze to death.
Well, I might freeze to death, but I'll legitimately be happy about it.
You will, that's true. But between you freezing and Meg freezing, we will not be outside very much. Just a couple pictures.
Yeah. And if you add snow, like I probably
Oh,
won't even know how
so
cold I am because I
oh
love
my god.
snow.
Oh my god. Begging all of the powers that be that it will snow that day. But
Like it.
like not for weeks beforehand, like not blizzard level, and not enough snow the day before that the roads are slushy and gross and
Sure.
gray. Just that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's
I'm in.
okay. Um, Speaking of my hopes and dreams, um, do you have a little nugget of wisdom and inspiration for us?
What would you do if I said I didn't?
I mean, I guess
Like,
I'd just move on.
I do. I do indeed, though. I have a nugget of wisdom for us. Apply for that job, date that person, buy that plane ticket, move to that city, do all the things that scare you because they're worth it.
Can confirm. Did all of those things.
I'll
Can
let you know.
confirm. Can confirm. Yeah, no. Yeah. So 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Excellent. I will let you know when I figure it out on my end.
Great. You know what else I recommend to everyone?
Stargate?
That is true. Although apparently this episode probably not where I should start because because I have no idea your reactions to anything except for that you texted me that you were aggressively angry.
To be clear, I really liked this episode, but I was very angry for most of it.
Fair.
So,
All right. So
9 out of
the episode in question is Stargate SG-1 Season 4, Episode 15, Chain Reaction.
10. Correct.
Yeah. It was rated 8.0 stars, which
That's
is
fair.
definitely not the highest we've seen, but we've been pretty mid sevens for a while, and so we're hopping back up to 8, and I do think that that is fair.
I think like if you remove it from where it's at, I might would give it like an 8.4, 8.5. But
Yeah.
because everything's been a bit lower, I understand we only made it to 8.0 this time
Yeah.
around. But I did like it.
This episode premiered on January 5th, 2001.
Nice.
So
nice.
we are
in a new year.
a full 3 months after the
That's
last
right.
episode. We were in September a week ago, and now we're in January.
And we're in our, what year of Stargate is this? When did we start?
1997.
So we're in year 4 of Stargate for officially now.
Officially now. It does feel like we started this podcast about Stargate in 1997 as well, but that was actually only in 2022.
Yep. I was like, what year are we in now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it was last April's when we started this?
Yeah.
Man, we're rocking and rolling.
We are.
Flying.
Despite it being 3 months later, the number one book is the same book. We are still talking about Tom Clancy's The Bear and the Dragon. Nothing has changed there. The number one movie. Nope, I don't know why I skipped song and went to movie. Probably because I want to talk about the song more. So the number one movie was What Women Want, starring Mel Gibson and Helen Hunt. I have not seen it. I do vaguely know what it is. It's your typical 2000s rom-com. Mel Gibson gets a magic power where he can hear what women want and hear their thoughts.
Right. I don't think I saw that one, but I watched the one that was similar, but it's What Men Want, or Men Think About, the one with Tiffany Haddish. I watched that one like 2017, 18.
Yeah. I mean, it's Mel Gibson, Helen Hunt, 2000s rom-com. There's not really anything to say about it.
That's the story. You've said it all.
Yeah. The number one song was Independent Women Part 1 by Destiny's Child.
Nice.
I distinctly remember my Destiny's Child phase. I should not have been singing some of these songs that I was singing with the attitude with which I was singing them at the age that I was singing them, because
for sure.
11-year-old me did not need anyone to think that the club was jumpin'.
No, but it was.
Yeah.
And leaving your man at home.
Yeah.
It's
but all the women who are independent. Yeah, it was. I don't know what the early 2000s and music were.
So was part 1 the popular one?
I think so. Or was I don't remember.
I always assume it's part 2 because that's what the other ones always happen to be, because you have
like Confessions part 2. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but it could have very well been part 1. I just always assume it's part 2 that's the popular one.
I don't even know if there is a part 2.
Well, there's a part 1.
Oh no, there is a part 2. There definitely is a part 2.
I bet it was part 1.
all the women who are independent, all the honeys making money, throw your hands up at me. Yeah, that's the one that
That's
was
the popular one.
that's the popular one. Yeah, Charlie, how your angels get down like that.
Right, exactly.
Which also means that Charlie's Angels came out in 2001, and that is a whole other issue.
Which means the other one is like 50 years old now
Oh my God.
or more. But you're thinking, no, is that 70s or 80s?
With the Farrah Fawcett one, definitely the
Mhm.
70s.
About 70s.
Yeah.
So yeah, 50 years.
Yeah. The Charlie's Angel. Well, because it was a TV show.
Right.
The original one
Mhm.
was a TV show from the 76 to 81. And then the movies started in 2000. And then they have the weird remake that was like 2 years ago or whatever.
Or that I just completely did not acknowledge existed.
Same.
Yeah.
Have no desire.
No one
But yeah.
post Cameron Diaz. That's my last era of Charlie's Angels.
Yeah. I mean, the number of people I know who like weirdly, and by people I mean men that I have known in my life who are like weirdly obsessed with Lucy Liu and the Charlie's Angels movie, I think is like a defining factor for our generation. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
Either you were or at some point obsessed with those three women, or you didn't watch movies.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On this day, there was the first transitional defense meeting in the Pentagon between secretaries of defense because it is January 5th, 2001,
Sure.
which means that in just a mere 10 days or so, George W. Bush will be the new president of the United States.
Yep. That's the time we're in.
Yeah. Also, in a more related to us note, and the things that we talk about or share on these podcasts, the Harold Shipman, the Angel of Death, was sentenced to prison in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
But when he, and you know the case of the Angel of Death, the British doctor who killed people.
I was gonna say, I'm sure I've heard a lot of Angel of Death stories, and I
Yeah, so, yes. So Harold Shipman, or Harold Frederick, but people called him Fred, but all of his case records say Harold. I don't know. But he was known as the Angel of Death. He was a British doctor who was killing his patients. When he went to jail in 2000, it was only for 15 deaths. The investigation in January of 2001, on this day of January 5th, turned up a report that said that he probably did not kill 15 people. He killed 297.
Yes, I'm familiar with this. This is wild.
So this is the day that the reports that gave his actual body count were released.
He's not the one that Dr. Death is based on. Dr. Death is based on
No.
American Doctor, right?
Yes.
I haven't watched it. I don't
No,
know.
he is the most prolific modern serial killer that like he like has the highest body count of any serial killer that we like have actual documents and like know about. He is a
have been like for sure confirmed.
Yeah. And also there are weirdly, I know that there are serial killers in other places, but serial killers like as a concept are kind of an American thing. So for the
Well, I feel like it's because we have so much space too. Like,
yeah, it's so much easier to hide a body here. And the states don't communicate with each other. So if you murder 15 people in Florida and then leave Florida, you might never be caught.
The parishes, what do we have? Not parishes. The counties. It's like Louisiana's parishes.
Parishes. Counties
don't speak to each other. Like,
right.
You go 3 counties over and you're in a whole new world.
I mean, hell, cities don't even talk to each other.
True. Yeah.
So, but for the most prolific modern serial killer to be not in America is astounding to me.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think Sam Little is purported to have had more but I don't think they were all confirmed.
Yeah. Well, and there's also things like there's tons of things that we don't know. Like we don't even know who Jack the Ripper is to know if all of
Right.
the things attributed to him were actually him or how many others there were. Like there's things like that, like where there's
Yeah.
in more ancient times. And then there's also like the trying to think of who the doctor in New Orleans that was like a big thing for murder.
Well, there was Sam Little. He was from Baton Rouge.
I'm trying
And
to
then
remember.
the Axeman of New Orleans.
Well, that yeah, no, but there was
I'm
a
not sure.
doctor in New Orleans who was murdering women.
I believe that. I'd be surprised if you told me there wasn't. So,
Um, here, doctor in New Orleans. Nope, I don't want a modern.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's just a lot of people killing in Louisiana. A lot of
yeah.
woods, a lot of swamps, a lot of wild animals.
Um, but yeah, I know there was a serial killer in New Orleans that I that was part of a tour that I was on when I was down there. Um, that was a much more old
Like a
thing,
historical
like a
one.
historical serial killer. And like there are people like that are giant question marks because of history, but because this man was committing his murders in the 1990s and 2000s, like we know what was happening.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
that's fun. I'm pretty sure he was sentenced to death, or I know he was sentenced to death, but I think he's dead now. Like I think he has in fact been
Mm-hmm.
killed.
So there's your serial
Oh,
killer
in
update for the day.
2004, yes, in 2004 he was in fact murdered or not murdered,
Put to death.
sentenced to put to death. Yeah. Um,
And by serial
that's
killer update, I mean your early 2000s serial killer update.
yeah. And I mean, he was fascinating because like there's a whole idea of whether like what he was doing was assisted suicides and like people
Right.
were in on it and like all kinds of stuff, but like
That's always what they bring up though for like
yeah,
serial killers and that are like angels of death.
yeah, but like 297 people's a lot.
Yeah. Right.
So, in another, back to something else that is a lot, the Stargate episode that we're talking about was directed by Martin Wood, written by Joseph Malozzi and Paul Mully, and edited by Alan Lee. Nothing new there. The guest star, who played Lieutenant or Major General Bauer, is Lawrence Dane. He is known for Scanners, The Bride of Chucky, and Happy Birthday to Me. Um,
Are those all horror films?
yeah.
Okay.
Um, he initially began acting to try and overcome his shyness. Um,
That's sweet.
it is sweet.
Still hate it, but that's sweet.
He's done in a lot of things, and unfortunately, he did pass away from pancreatic cancer in March of
Mm.
2022. Um, which weirdly, this is the second time in 4 weeks that I've talked about someone dying of pancreatic cancer. And
Well,
that,
I talked about it, what, last week?
oh yeah, did you?
Mm-hmm. I think I remember who it was now because I have no sense of.
I don't remember because I know the last person you talked about was John Cho, and it clearly wasn't him.
Yeah. But I think it
So,
got brought up
oh, like
somehow.
elsewhere, and yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because I know we talked about it when we talked about our friend who was in Sex and the City.
Oh, right. That's who it was. That's who it was. Yeah, you're right. It was
Yeah,
you, not
yeah,
me.
it's okay. But yeah, so um, if you are um, if you are in a risk
Garbage.
if you are a risk category for pancreatic cancer, please get checked. Don't
Yes.
don't um Yeah. So, but anyway, um, we open this episode very aggressively.
Can I tell
And
you? I know, like we've talked about that he leaves the show a little earlier than everyone else, and I thought this was for real. And I killed.
I um knew that that was how you were going to feel watching this episode. I was
I thought I
like,
was gonna cry and have a meltdown at work.
which is funny because I paused it and I looked at my mom, I go, I can't remember if this is one of the episodes that's an alternate reality episode or if it's an episode that resolves itself before the end of the episode. And my mom said, why? And I told her and she goes, oh yeah, no, that definitely doesn't happen yet. I was like, exactly. So, but I knew that you didn't know
Did
that.
not know that.
And yeah. But so we open very aggressively with a massive alert in the gate room. Like the literal first sound of the episode is the alarm blaring. It's a very aggressive and abrupt
It
opening.
is.
Um, and SG-1 is trying to get through the gate, but they're under heavy fire. And Hammond opens the iris because it's SG-1, but then the attack is coming through the gate and there's like lasers coming out of the gate and blowing up parts of the gate room. It is all kinds of aggressive. Um, and SG-1 finally like rushes in and says that they were ambushed and that they almost didn't make it. And Hammond tells them that they were actually closer to dying than they realized because if he had followed protocol, he would have had to shut down the iris already, and like they would not have made it. And then he gets incredibly melodramatic and says that he can no longer handle emotionally the risk of losing them every time they go out through the gate, and that he wanted SG-1 to be the first to hear that he is stepping down as head of the SGC.
Yeah.
And then we get the credits.
And I was like, excuse me, Hammond? When I tell you I was distraught, I was distraught.
Yeah, I was very curious what your reaction was going to be. Because I told you that it was more of an Earthbound episode based on the fact that Kinsey and Mayborn were like the main villains of the episode. But I didn't tell you anything else.
I just knew they were going to be on the episode.
Yeah.
They were going to wreak havoc as well. Should have known.
Weirdly, I wouldn't necessarily say that they were the havoc, which is a whole other issue.
Kinsey was. Kinsey's the whole reason everything happened.
Yeah, he sucks.
He does suck. Not a fan.
I told my mom that Kinsey was my least favorite character on the entire series. Like, I would rather deal with all of the aliens of all of the species of aliens and all of the different Goa'ulds than Kinsey. And my mom was like, but that makes sense because he's a character that should be a good guy and isn't. And so that makes you hate him even more.
Mm-hmm.
He's also the most realistic.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Speaking of realistic, I meant to say this before we started the episode, but it's fine. We're at the credits, so it's a stopping place. I don't understand human beings.
Same.
I don't. Because I have been part of the Stargate Reddit community for quite some time. And people are jokey and funny, and people ask like legitimate questions and have all kinds of conversations on there. And it is a very open place. And even people, when they do fight, they don't fight in a stupid way.
Right.
I joined a Stargate Facebook community. Mostly for the memes. I joined for the memes. I wanted the memes. But apparently, fuck me for ever speaking, right? Because somebody posted a question, a legitimate question about a mention later in the show about specific elements of Christianity. And I'm not going to go into specific details of the questions because spoilers, but but they were asking about something about mention of Christianity and an alien race and something, and they asked a legitimate question. Someone commented on it and was like, plot twist, Jesus was a gold. I did not get religious. I did not get spiritual. I did not get defensive. I just commented that there is a canon answer for that in season 3, episode 8, Demons. Someone else commented and put the exact quote that Teal'c says in that episode to affirm what I had said. Then this motherfucker goes off about how he was just joking. And then the whole thing spirals out of control. People start making comments about, well, it doesn't matter because Jesus is a fictional character too. And all of this nonsense and all of these things about all of this different mythology and like attacking Christianity to the point where the admins had to turn off commenting on the post. And I was like, what is wrong with people? I told my mom, I was like, I wasn't even like defending Christianity. I was literally using an in-canon answer to their question. And I suddenly blew up Facebook.
That just sounds like Facebook, though. Like, that's how it goes.
I like Reddit better.
I like Reddit better, too. I don't really know enough about Reddit all the time, but I do as a whole.
People don't bite your head off for asking questions on Reddit.
No. And, like, I use it for, sometimes for, like, TV stuff, but I use it mostly for like Xbox stuff. So I'm always on there looking for like game suggestions and whatnot.
Right. But like you can ask for TV show suggestions and game suggestions and suggestions on how to take care of your leopard gecko, and people are just nice to you.
Yeah.
And like even on the leopard gecko thing where some people say some really stupid things and are really like incapable of having pets, no one that I have ever seen has been like nasty about telling someone that they're doing they'll be like, you have done absolutely everything wrong and here are all the things you need to fix to take care of your leopard gecko, but in the nicest way possible.
Right.
And I hate Facebook.
Well, yeah, it's a dumpster fire. But it is where my book club is, and they're nice. You know. I'll be around for that.
All of my friends are really nice on Facebook. Like everybody was so nice when I posted my engagement photos, but like, and like there are some groups, like I'm in the Scrubbing In Facebook group for like Becca Tilley's podcast, and everyone is so nice in that group. But
I'm in a lot of podcast groups, and most of them are fine.
Yeah, but don't, if you want a kind way to express your Stargate fandom, do not join Stargate Fans United because they suck.
I love it.
But back to what else sucks, Hammond retiring.
Yeah.
Hammond is cleaning out his office and Jack is trying to stop him. He does not go for it. And then everyone is saying their goodbyes. And it's really sad. And this is one of the only times in this episode that I genuinely laughed out loud. Because everyone says they're really emotional goodbyes. And then Teal'c.
And
Teal'c says one of my favorite lines. He says, on Chulak, when a great warrior retires from the battlefield, it is customary to sing a lament. Fortunately, we are not on Chulak.
I really did want him to sing a lament, though. Like, how funny and awkward would that have been if he just started singing a lament?
It would have been amazing. The only thing that is better than that is that joke.
Yeah.
But then they're all lined up in military form to meet their new commanding officer, and Major General Bauer comes in to introduce himself as their new commandeer or commander, and everyone is left a little wanting. Like it is like the least like exciting introduction. Yeah, like he's just like, hey, I'm your commander, and then leaves. Like no words, no anything. It is very awkward. And then we go to Daniel and Sam, who are discussing the sheer awkwardness of this. And they run smack dab into Bauer, who was in Sam's lap.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, well, he was in their space, so
Yeah. And he says that the Pentagon hasn't really gotten any return on their investment in the Stargate project, and that they are opening themselves up to risk every day with nothing in return. So he is taking Sam off of SG-1 to put her on a task force to create a Naquita bomb.
yeah.
Then he also, in just what is gotta be one of the most dickish moves, because at least with Sam, it's not ideal, but like
It is still kind of like in the purview of what would happen.
Yes, it is in the purview of what her job would be. Like she is a scientist and an Air Force like engineer. It makes sense that that is the job she would have.
Right.
But then, and if that's what they're trying to do, a temporary assignment to work on the bomb and then being put back on the front line, fine.
Right.
But in a very dickish move, he just goes, also, Dr. Jackson, an archaeologist does not belong on a frontline task force anyway. You will not be going on missions anymore unless it is absolutely necessary.
I was like, excuse me? He's been doing this for 4 years longer than you have.
Correct.
So you don't know what you're saying.
So Daniel is now a consultant.
He lived on Chulak. Chulak is where he lived for a while?
No, he lived on Abydos.
On Abydos. He lived on Abydos for a while. So, like, he knows way more than you ever will.
Correct. But the only person who is as upset about this dismantling of the team as Courtney and I are is Jack, who goes to see General Bauer and is like, hey, what are we doing here? And I wrote, he is also delightfully insubordinate.
Yes.
And then I paused because I had to have a conversation with my mother because I just needed someone to bounce this idea off of in the moment. How the fuck did Jack make it to the rank of colonel?
With his insubordination?
Correct. Like with that.
Unless Hammond was his commander the entire time of his whole career in the military.
Yeah.
I do not know.
But my mom brought up a very good point that he is battle tested, meaning that he doesn't put up with bullshit because he has been there and done that. He's been on the field. So his attitude is not one of following orders directly, but it also means that he has done enough to get like meritory promotions. And he is often working in a situation as a colonel, he would often be working in a situation where he did not have a direct commander with him all of the time.
Right.
So it does make sense because you remember they mention it in season 1, I believe, and I think one other time, but before he was on SG-1, before he retired, before his son died, he was in an Iraqi war prison for months.
I had forgotten about that.
He kind of earned the right to be an asshole.
Yeah.
But
I feel like once you're in a war prison, you can pretty much do whatever you want the rest of your life if you get out. Like,
yeah. Unless then you go into politics and then somehow people will still have negative things to say about you.
sure. I say just avoid politics.
Right.
I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a
Yeah.
politician. Avoid politics.
Unfortunately, a lot of politicians do, and that's why we're fucked.
Well, yes, that is also an issue. But
Bauer does not appreciate the delight of this insubordination, and he says that he will be dealing with Jack in a much more serious manner than Jack is used to. And politely asks him to take a leave.
I was like, oh no.
So Jack does the only correct thing with that leave and goes to Texas
Goes to sea.
and
Sir.
to see Hammond and his granddaughters and ask what in the actual fuck is going on.
Yes.
Hammond is like, didn't you just get off of vacation? Like, you were just fishing. What are we doing?
You went to just on your fishing trip.
Yeah. And Jack is like, well, this wasn't exactly a voluntary leave. And Hammond is like, my dear Jackifer, I am obsessed with the face you're making at Sadie right now because you were so distraught by her that you did not even react to the fact that I just called him Jackifer.
I sure did. I heard you say something really quiet, but Sadie was like stepping on a bag that was making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
And she's distressing me because she won't just like chill out.
Chill. Yeah.
Messing with stuff. But yes.
But yeah, so Hammond is like, Jackifer, my dear, dear boy, not everyone can handle all of that.
Correct. Totally fair.
And Jack's like, valid, but also, Teal'c's on SG-3, Daniel's got a desk job, Sam's building a bomb, and he kicked me out. So...
Right. He's like, you're not wrong in normal situations.
Right. And Hammond was like, I'm sorry, what? And you saw in him that he was very distressed and then immediately went back to playing cool. Like, sorry, nothing I can do about it. You just got to try to be patient. And Jack is like, I have known you for long enough to know something is all the fucking way up here.
Yep.
He was like, I don't buy it. You didn't just wake up one morning and decide you were sick of this job. No one loves their job as much as you do. Like, that's not a thing. So Hammond tells us that the NID contacted him and asked for some more aggressive military use of the Stargate. And when Hammond refused, they threatened him, and he still did not cave until some men in an unmarked black truck picked his granddaughters up from school.
Yeah. What the heck is going on, Stargate?
Which has got to be the most terrifying thought in the entire world to me.
Yeah. This is why you don't go into the military and politics. They steal your kids.
I work at a small school where the way we do dismissal at our school is that the kids stay inside and I stand in the parking lot and check the car and know who the person is. And if it is someone I have never met before, I get their ID and write their information down. Like, I would never just let kids get in the car with anyone for any reason.
And I think
And
that that's a
that,
little bit different than it was in 2001.
right, right. I mean, but that is distressing to me.
I know.
Like
I know. Like,
I had a kid who last week his mom was out of town and one of her friends was picking him up and he told me that one of his mom's friends was picking him up. The office had a note with her name in it. I got her ID and had a conversation with her and then I still made him confirm to me that that was who was supposed to be picking him up before he got in the car. Like I was not about to
right.
have that. I literally
Yeah.
was like, "Is this your mom's friend?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I go, "Okay." But like I literally went through 4 ways of vetting that this was the right human being before I let this child get in
Well,
a
yeah,
car.
you have a list of who can pick people up, and
Yeah.
that's the rules. That's how it goes.
Parents, like I had one parent get mad at me for asking them to show me their ID and I never met them before. And I was like, what if I hadn't and I just like let your child get in the car with someone? Like you'd be mad then too. Like I don't.
And also, it's your fault you haven't met me before because you could have come to open house or any of these other situations.
This
So,
was before open house. This was earlier than that in the
they
school
could have
year.
figured it out.
It was like the first day of school.
I mean, my mom met all of my teachers before I started school, so
Yeah, we don't do that.
well,
Yeah.
I'm in a very small town.
But I have also been working at the same school and the same dismissal line because there's 3 dismissal lines, but I've been working at the same school, the same dismissal line for 3 years. So at this point, I just know everyone.
Right.
I always laugh on days when I'm not there and I go, good luck with dismissal because I'm the only one who knows everyone. Um, but yeah, so that was distressing to me as someone who does dismissal at a school. And then also the idea of someone hurting Hammond's granddaughters.
I know. I know. Low blow, guys.
Right. But Jack
Literally
also.
also like nothing less would have had Hammond
Oh
shut
yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Like that is literally the extent they had to go to, or he would have just like fought it. Like,
Yeah. But also, this is all pre 9/11.
also this is like psychotic. Like,
Well, yeah, yes, yes. But Jack is also, we know at this point in the show that basically, if anyone other than Hammond had been in charge of Stargate, Jack would not have come out of retirement. There is a previous relationship there. So the idea of someone messing with Hammond's granddaughters, not gonna fucking fly.
yeah, yeah. And knowing that that's like all Hammond cares about other than the SG teams.
Yeah. So Jack is very, very unhappy, which Hammond can see. And he's like, do not get yourself in trouble. Stay out of it. And Jack's like, yeah, for sure. I will definitely not get myself in trouble.
Absolutely.
And then immediately goes to prison to visit Colonel Mayborn.
Yep.
Which, to clarify, Mayborn is in prison, not for the original discovery of the NID, for the selling state secrets to Russia part of it. He couldn't get. There's only so many. Yeah, Makepeace went to prison for the. Yeah.
Right,
yes,
right.
Makepeace went to prison for the like double gate situation in the first place. And then Mayborn finally didn't have anybody pulling strings for him after he literally sold state secrets to Russia.
Sure. Well, only so many things you can get away with.
Right. Back at the SGC, Sam tells Bauer that like theoretically she can make the bomb, but actually the problem is that they don't have enough refined naquita at SGC. And he goes, that's fine. We're going to go to this planet and get some. And she's like, excuse me, that planet is a gold stronghold. Like, and he goes, we'll get it.
This man does not know one thing about how SGC works.
Not one single thing.
Everything he said is the opposite of what should be done.
Yeah. Back at the prison with Mayborn, Mayborn confirms everything that Jack and Hammond had already suspected about the NID and what they were doing and the fact that they were behind it. But the one thing that Mayborn is genuinely unsure of is he does not know if Bauer is part of it or is a patsy who is just following orders.
It becomes very clear.
Yeah.
Moron.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's probably more of actually a patsy, but he's more in on it than we would like. But he's clearly not top level in on it because he's an idiot.
I think he's like, yeah, I'm in with these guys, but has absolutely no idea what's happening otherwise. He's
one of those people that you give just enough information to do your bidding, and they are with you, but they don't know the whole picture. Like, right. He's like Lucius Malfoy. Like, Voldemort for sure only told him enough to get him to do things, and he thought he knew what he was in for.
No,
but yeah.
Yep.
So Jack's like, I need help, like, figuring out what's going on. I need help getting Hammond back into the SGC. And Mayborn's like, quid pro quo.
Yeah.
And he's like, I will give you hard evidence. I will give you names. I will give you facts. I will give you everything you need. But I just need a little break from prison.
A little vacation from prison.
Which turns out Jack is apparently like buddies with the president.
Yeah, he's like hella connected.
Like he says me and Air Force One go way back.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out how it's season 4 and we're just finding out that Jack has pull with the president. Like, we know Hammond has pull with the president. And we know that, like, the president knows who Jack is. But, like, that's a level of pull I don't think we realized Jack had.
And, like, I guess to be fair, we haven't really, like, needed it before now because we did have Hammond who, like, made sure everything went smoothly before. So, like, I guess it makes sense we didn't know. But now that Hammond's not in a place to do that.
Yeah. We go back to SGC where Teal'c and SG3 are returning from securing the Naquita. I spelled securing SEQURING. What the fuck was I doing?
Not spelling words. That's not what you're doing.
Jesus. I was like trying to read my notes and then I go, what?
Sequiring.
But one of their team members is dead and another one is like badly injured. And Teal'c is like for sure not a fucking fan of this.
Teal'c in this whole moment, I was like, I don't know what's about to happen.
I thought he was about to punch the general in the face.
So too. I was like, he's about to cancel this whole operation.
Yeah. Jack and Mayborn go to a safe house that apparently is where Mayborn keeps his NID decoding software. And tries to get into the servers, but they've deactivated his password because he's in fucking prison for treason. So Then we flip back to SGC where Sam is given the details about the test site for the bomb, and she freaks out because they're going to test it on a planet that just like has a shit ton of plants and animals. And he's like, well, yeah, there's no habitation near the gate. She was like, okay, but like that's not the whole planet. Like, what?
Right.
And also, like, no habitation does not mean plants and animals don't have, like, what?
Yeah.
What? And Bauer doesn't give a shit.
Not at all.
Back at Mayborn's safe house, he's trying for the 15 billionth time to get into this NID thing, despite the fact that his password is deactivated. And he he has a conversation with Jack about how when you're working with people like this, doing the right thing is not enough. You have to play dirty because they're going to play dirty. And he needs to sit on whatever they find rather than turning it all in because he can't take down the entire NID.
Right. Like, which, to be fair, is correct. Like,
yeah.
They were actually being helpful for once.
Yeah. And Jack looks out the window while they're having this conversation, and an unmarked black car pulls up, and Mayborn figures out someone's probably been tracking them since the minute he turned this computer on.
And I'm like, someone's like, wait a minute. Why did you not think of this before? Or be like, say it. Like, if you did think of it, why didn't you say it and be like, we have like 5 minutes?
Right. And he destroys the hard drive. And Jack and Mayborn then escape the safe house and steal the NID people's core. Great.
Yeah. To be fair, maybe 8.0 is the right rating because this episode is very chaotic.
Yeah. And it is chaotic. And like there are two very solidly separate storylines, but we go back and forth a lot.
Yeah.
Because now we're back at the SGC and Sam is preparing the bomb to go through the gate to the test site. And then we leave again.
Yeah.
And then we see Jack, who is calling Daniel to check in, and everybody's just to like make sure that we didn't forget that these people are connected, because all we do in this scene is find out that everyone is not having a good time.
It feels very like Bird Notice.
Yeah.
Like the Jack half of the storyline. Yes,
the Jack half of the storyline does feel very Burn Notice-y. I love that show. Then Mayborn tells Jack that now that the NID is onto them, it's going to get trickier because they're going to have to go straight through a high-profile associate and like get right to the source. Then back at SGC, Sam and Daniel and Teal'c are trying to stop Bauer from trying to get Bauer to stop the bomb because they realize that there's naquita in the soil that like might cause a chain reaction because like the soil could then blow up. And it turns out that like not only did Bauer already know, that's exactly what he wants and why they chose this planet, because he has some theoretical intelligence that the gate about the gate that he isn't sharing with them, and he says he knows what's going to happen.
Moron. God, I hate this guy.
Then Mayborn and Jack show up to Senator Kinsey's house while he's having a party.
Do you recall what Senator Kinsey, like the actor, has been in before? Because I feel like I just watched him in something recently, and I could not remember, like not necessarily a new show, but like something.
Yeah.
Maybe a movie, a horror movie.
I'm trying to think.
Extremely random. I don't even know what I've watched recently, so like I couldn't tell you what I watched.
I mean, he's been in a lot of things. Yeah. I mean, and he is still acting. He's 85. Trying to think.
It just felt like a freshly seen face, and I know we haven't seen him for like a minute.
I don't know what
like
you
just saw him in Stargate.
Right. I guess here I'm gonna sort this and say I'm gonna look at the genre of horror, because you've been watching a lot of horror lately. Yeah, no, you definitely haven't watched any of these things. They're not good. I don't know.
You know, it's fine. It's fine. I'll maybe figure it out, or maybe I won't.
I mean, have you watched True Detective lately?
Nope, I've never seen it.
Okay, have you?
I watched The Avengers this week. Again, the first one.
Yeah.
And, just some other random stuff. I did watch a lot of reality TV though, so that's not it.
That's not it.
You know, it's fine.
No, I mean,
Maybe Blue Bloods?
he,
Was he on Blue Bloods?
no,
Mm,
he was
okay.
not. He was in 5 episodes of Nashville.
Nope, nope, didn't watch that.
Dexter.
Oh, yep, I bet that's it. I watched that like 2 months ago.
Yeah, no, he was in an episode of Dexter.
That's probably the
Just,
one.
just one, but none of the rest of this seems like things that you have watched recently.
Great.
So,
All right, we're gonna go
no,
with Dexter then.
great. Um, but yeah, so he's got a bunch of fancy people at his house, and he is very embarrassed that they have showed up and ruined his party. Um, Back to the other and currently much more dramatic situation. The
Where
bomb
everyone's about to die. Yeah.
did, in fact, cause a chain reaction.
Mhm.
And the other gate did not get destroyed by it. And there's now gamma ray radiation leaking through the wormhole into the gate room. And the wormhole will not close. So they close the iris and it's holding. But once the iris heats up enough that it doesn't hold anymore, the gamma ray radiation may reach, I don't know, killing everyone on Earth level.
Right. Yeah. Maybe can't just go to floor 16 to get away from it.
Bauer immediately turns into the dumbest, shell shocked puppy that ever existed and is like, but we were sure it would work. He told me it would work. He told me it would be destroyed. I like he clearly has not been in charge of any of the decisions he's made because he doesn't know
Nope.
what's happening. Um, and Sam has to literally step up and evacuate the base because he just stands there staring at the wormhole like an idiot.
Yeah, thank goodness for Sam.
Yeah. Um, Senator Kinsey, on the other hand, has taken Mayborn and Jack upstairs to his office and is playing stupid. And it
Our
says
friend
that he has,
Starsky and Hutch.
yep, and says that he has no knowledge of the NID.
Sure.
And then Jack pulls a gun on him.
Those are my favorite parts.
My favorite part was when Senator Kinsey goes, "Wow, you learned to play dirty so quickly, Colonel." And he just looks at Mayborn and goes, "I had a good teacher." Um,
I like when he
and
was like, "You're waving a gun around at me." He's like, "I'm not waving it, I'm pointing it at you."
right,
It felt very Tilk at that moment, like so matter
yeah,
of fact.
so matter of fact. Speaking of Tilk, though, we do run back to SGC quick and find out that everyone else is evacuating, but Sam, Daniel, Teal'c, and Bauer are watching the gate room from a security station on the 16 on level 16. Remember, SGC is on level 23, so they're only 7 floors up. Not ideal.
Yeah.
And the iris is heating up too much. They don't know what to do. And they still have 17 minutes before the theoretical wormhole automatic closure.
Yep.
They also don't know if the power coming from the explosion will allow the wormhole to close.
A lot of what ifs that are all have
Unnecessary.
things. Well, I was just saying like they're all bad what ifs.
Yeah,
Like
no good
options so far.
solutions. Kinsey tells Jack that if they don't cut it out, he'll ruin all of their lives.
Great. Done. Everyone's about to
And
die.
yeah, exactly. And Mayborn is like, okay, cool, I got into the program, but now I need your password. And Kinsey's like, ha ha, good luck figuring it out. I have a wife that I love, 3 kids, 7 grandkids, and all my nieces and nephews. You're never going to guess the name that is the password. Because apparently we just all in 2001 used people we know's names as our password.
Yeah.
And
Name mysteries, those are your options.
right. And Jack goes, fuck your kids. It's the dog. And he's like, just try Oscar. And it worked. So that's great. And once they get inside the file.
Also, I understand this is 2001, but this is the senator's computer, and his password is just Oscar. No numbers, no symbols, no like last name, like just Oscar. Like this guy deserves.
I mean, to be fair, I feel like even in 2023, people that old have passwords that's stupid.
Well, yeah, but like surely he didn't come up with his own password. Like surely he has a team member who is handling his security.
Yeah, for his regular stuff, but not for the secret NID shit. He can't have his team members on that.
Know, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. I'm sure his secretary has the passwords for his regular like US government website, but not the secret shit.
Yeah, not the stuff where they try to take over the world. I got you.
Yeah. But based on his file history on his computer, we find out that Kinsey is attached to literally all of the shady shit that has happened in the last 2 seasons.
Everything that has ever happened.
Every fucking shitty thing that has happened in the last 4 seasons of the show, Kinsey okayed it.
All just behind Oscar.
Yeah. So Jack is like, cool, get Hammond reinstated at SGC or everything on this disc goes to the press. But Mayborn is like, we might not have time for that. The NID is here.
They're everywhere.
We get a really quick scene of Sam just staring at the countdown clock, watching it. Very depressing.
Fair, yeah.
And then back to the main drama of the moment. At Kinsey's, Jack knows that the NID won't come inside because of the type of people that are downstairs, because there are congressmen and all kinds of people downstairs in this house. But they still have to find a way to get out in the house. We go back to SGC and they hit 38 minutes and the wormhole does not close. So they give up and decide to evacuate because, I mean, at this point, literally, we're all just going to die anyway. But then the gate does actually disengage. And Bauer turns into a sniveling little piece of shit and just apologizes for everything.
Because he's like, oh no, I've almost killed everyone.
Kinsey, I don't know, before we left to go back to the gate, we saw Jack taking out his phone and we did not know who he was calling, but apparently he called the press because Kinsey goes outside with Jack and Mayborn, who very discreetly walk over to the car and get away because Kinsey declares his candidacy for president.
Yeah. This guy, you know he's gonna win. And then he's gonna do stupid secret stuff there too.
Back at the SGC, Hammond is putting his office back together and talking to Jack about what on earth Jack had to do to get this to happen. When the red phone rings, it is not the president.
That's not the president.
And it is not his granddaughters.
Yeah. And I was like, it makes sense. Even the president's calling Jack because we know they're besties now. So I was like, yeah, that totally tracks.
Well, and because we do know that the red phone is only used for the president or his granddaughters.
Right.
But we know people who hack shit. So the phone ringing is Colonel Mayborn calling to talk to Jack. And he said that he also copied all of the information from Kinsey's computer to use as his own form of blackmail to get himself put into a little bit of a nicer facility to await his death penalty. And he is just hanging out on a beach, drinking margaritas.
Yep.
And we end the episode on Kinsey dancing in the beach.
Having the time of his life.
Yeah. Not Kinsey, I'm sorry. Mayborn.
Mayborn, yeah.
Yeah, dancing.
I didn't even question you. I was like, yep, I'm with you.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the end of the episode.
What a wild ride.
How are you feeling?
You know, a little like I'm on drugs. A little bit of whiplash. But
Okay.
fine, I guess.
But fine. Do you have any thoughts, theories, predictions for the future?
I feel like Kinsey's gonna become president. So I'm sure we'll see him again regardless, but I do think he could become president. I assume Mayborn's like gone. Like
Okay.
has left the building. Bauer's gotta be like arrested or something. I don't know. But yeah, otherwise I don't think that there's a lot else that feels like we could have based anything off of it, unless like this planet they tried to blow up, realized they tried to blow it up and now they're gonna attack us. But that doesn't really like feel super realistic, but that's the only other thing I can like come up with.
I will, before we get into trivia and punching people, I will tell you that I'm going to do my spoiler for next week a little early because one of those 4 things you said is exactly what happens next week. But I'm not going to tell you which one.
I bet it's the attack SG. See,
so
the planet they tried to blow up.
We do
Too
have
soon
some trivia.
For Kinsey to become president next episode.
We do have some trivia, and that is when Sam is making the bomb, there are gas cylinders on the outside of the bomb, and they are labeled hydrazine and liquid oxygen. That is not physically possible because liquid oxygen boils at a negative 297 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yep. Not possible.
So, yeah.
What is hydrazine? Do you know what the
Nope.
thing? Okay. Cool.
Nope.
Cool.
I do not. I just know that the liquid oxygen is not physically possible to be there.
Makes sense.
The Findorama login, which is where apparently the NID hides their information, because this is 2001 and we don't know how computers work, is actually not on the internet at all. It literally is part of a Windows hard drive. If you look at the screen when he's opening it, it is a hardware piece of Windows, not the internet.
Great.
The name that Mayborn uses as a username to try to get in when his password doesn't work is Menard, Menard, and that is the name of the director of photography for the episode.
Oh, love.
And then last piece of trivia, but my favorite piece of trivia, is Oscar, the dog, is played by an Australian Shepherd named Zoe, who is Richard Dean Anderson's actual dog.
Aw, that's so sweet.
Yes. So that's because they had Zoe so that it would be someone like she would actually just run up to him and nobody else at the party scene.
I love it. That's very sweet.
Yeah. So with that, who would you like to punch?
Bauer. Normally I would say Kinsey, but I feel like I'm going to see him again, and I feel like I'm not going to see Bauer again, so this is my chance.
That is very fair. I assumed that you would, in fact, choose Bauer because you were more personally offended for what happened at the SGC than the whole shit show of the NID. So that left me the perfect opportunity to punch Kinsey.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And who is your MVP?
Jack.
Oh, I did not think you were going to pick Jack.
Well, I feel like that's, it's a little out of character for me. Jack's usually not my go-to guy. Like, I love him. He's not usually my go-to guy, but I mean, he did what he had to protect him and his grandkids and put the world back together. So,
mine is a controversial choice.
Is it Mayburn?
It is Mayborn.
I almost picked
Because the thing is, was he selfish? Absolutely.
sure.
Did he have ulterior motives? For sure. But he didn't double cross Jack.
Yeah.
He did save the SGC, and he did fuck Kinsey over in the process. And so while his motives for these things might not have been heroic, um,
Yeah.
if it weren't for him giving in, Jack would not have gotten anything. So,
Absolutely.
and
And he was good to
he,
Jack when Jack was like,
right, and he gave
why
Jack
don't
the right advice. Like he told Jack like that this is not who you are, but you have to realize who you're dealing with. And he stepped up.
and also when Jack was like, why didn't you try to escape from me? And he was like, well, you're too good for that. It would never worked.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I was like, that's so nice of you. No,
yeah. So,
he was definitely my runner up. So,
okay. Assumed that you were going to pick Sam.
she's a good
So
too.
she is a good pick too, but I assumed you were going to pick Sam because you tend to go for Sam or Teal'c when they are the correct answer. Um, um, so I was heavily debating if I went with Jack or Mayborn, but then you picked Jack, so
Easy for
that made
me.
my answer easy. Yeah.
That's what I'm here to do. I love it.
Well, if you have any thoughts, theories, predictions, if you want to guess which of Courtney's predictions is the correct answer for next week, if you want to talk about the Stargate Facebook pages that I could go to, that would be nicer to me. Or if you have any questions for us about anything really, you can email us at deathandaliens@gmail.com or follow us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens. You can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And you can follow me at CE Cloud 13.
And we will see you on Thursday for what is sure to be another wild ride of Thriller Thursday.
Sure is. Sure.
Bye.
Nice.